Some of these prairie plants are considered weeds in any number of different, more urban locales. But how do you choose to get rid of them? Chemicals, fire, old-fashioned hard work?
Well, you might want to try goats. One Iowa company is using targeted grazing to clean up the landscape, and it's a pretty good show.
Many years ago, herds of animals freely roamed the prairies of Iowa, grazing on a variety of plants and controlling growth. Those conditions are different across the Iowa landscape today. But an Iowa company called Goats on the Go is providing targeted grazing to help manage unwanted vegetation in a sustainable way.
For some, their goal is just to run the goats through, open things up, make it look better for a little while. But then we have other customers who have definite conservation goals in mind. They want to restore natural landscapes, native landscapes. They want to do it without herbicides. They want to do it without much disturbance, and they want to do it on a large scale. So our services run the gamut from both extremes.
Goats are much better bushwhackers and weed eaters than lawnmowers. They thrive in dense vegetation, chomping and chewing their way through noxious weeds, brush, and invasive plants.
They'll go up as high as they can reach, they'll push stuff over, and so you really get a good defoliation of all the species of the plants from about 6 feet down, and then when you choose to pull them off, down to the ground.
Goats deal with steep slopes and rough terrain with little erosion and much less safety risk to humans. In a happy coincidence, they love to eat honeysuckle, multiflora rose, and many other types of invasive vegetation that we humans want to get rid of.
Sheep will eat grass and some weeds, cows will just eat grass, but goats will eat all of it. So that's the uniqueness of a goat. From little trees to thistles, they'll eat it.
You know, if you look at the protein content of those plants, that far exceeds some of the best hay we could give our goats. But no other animal can consume and digest and make use of those nutrients other than a goat, and that's kind of what makes them amazing.
Goats on the Go brings the animals to the site, sets up a solar-powered electric fence around the area that needs attention, provides water, and has a representative check in on the goats regularly. A typical job for Goats on the Go involves about 30 to 40 animals, usually taking 4 to 5 days per acre.
The first time I brought up the subject, I had a lot of people think we were maybe a little bit nuts, but I kept talking it up and finally convinced everybody that's what we needed to do.
The Iowa City School District used Goats on the Go for multiple projects, including one creating a transition from a heavily wooded area to a play area outside an elementary school. The district had to get approval from Iowa City and North Liberty officials to have the goats within city limits.
The main objective with the goats coming in here is actually to get rid of a lot of the leafy material and the waist-high vegetation. What that does is it makes it a little bit safer for our operators to go in and chainsaw out any woody vegetation that we don't want in there, smaller trees, little saplings.
They're just as cost-effective as if we hired a crew of 4 or 5 men for a week and paid labor, wages, and the equipment itself. So it's pretty much a wash, but in the end it's better because it's friendly to the environment.
I'd say the thing that's most surprising is how great of a job the goats actually do. I kind of expected mixed results and kind of thought, well, it might be easier just to do it with a heavy-duty brush mower. But surprisingly, they eat the vegetation all the way down within inches of the ground. It's unquestionable success.
These cute and sometimes goofy grazing goats aren't just all business. Part of the appeal of Goats on the Go is educational and, yes, entertaining.
Goats will be on logs, jumping, headbutting, running around, making sounds. They're a lot more fun to watch. I kind of call them the court jester of the animal kingdom. You know, they're always goofing off doing something weird. So
We're constantly amazed at how much people love goats.
Like, the only thing I think people would like more than goats is if you could train monkeys to do something, because that'd be funnier. But
Monkeys
goats,
with a weed whacker
yeah,
might top goats.
right,
But
but
maybe.
People love it, you know.
Here at Dewey's pasture in far northwest Iowa, about 120 goats spent several weeks munching on about 22 acres of undesirable trees and brush.
If you do nothing, They grow up to trees, and some people think that that's not a bad thing, but if you're a grassland, wetland dependent critter, if you will, that's the worst thing in the world. So you have to do that type of management, you know.
The Iowa Department of Natural Resources deals with land management on a daily basis in parks and natural areas throughout the state. The DNR uses goats on the go in some sensitive grassland and wetland areas with remnant vegetation and native prairie, where heavy machinery or chemical applications are not ideal.
And unfortunately, and one of the reasons why we're doing this, we don't have a whole lot of bur oak regeneration here because of the tree and shrub encroachment and a few other factors. These goats will help clean some of that up and hopefully allow some of that oak regeneration and other savanna type species to blossom and to happen. But it'll take time. It'll take time.
The cost for this service varies depending on the size of the project and the location. Bigger projects and those closest to Goats on the Go's home base or one of their representative goat farmers across the state can be more cost-effective per acre. Some people wonder why the model isn't flipped, why Goats on the Go isn't paying the landowners for feeding their goats.
This is a horrible way to feed goats.
Right.
It's really expensive to do it this way, and so
We would just be feeding goats right here at home in a convenient pasture if all we wanted was to feed them. So we have bigger aspirations than that.
A one-time visit by Goats on the Go won't permanently solve most vegetation problems. The company works with customers on a comprehensive strategy to achieve land management goals.
Goats are one tool in a toolbox for managing vegetation. They work great in combination with other things. If the customer is committed to using goats and only goats, we can have a killing effect on the targeted vegetation over time, but it typically takes 2 or 3 repeat grazings to start to kill the vegetation. In most cases, we are opening things up, clearing it out, setting back the targeted vegetation a little bit so that other vegetation can compete, and we're creating a much more pleasant environment to do some follow-up hand labor, maybe even some very precise applications of herbicide rather than a broad application of herbicide.
Goats on the Go isn't just in the vegetation control business, it's in the meat business too. Although the company has been so busy with grazing projects that there hasn't been much opportunity to sell goats for meat, yet.
it's the true definition of a value-added product because we're taking something that was of no value and could not be of any value unless you put a browsing goat on it and turn it into meat for the community and for Iowans. So
really the only thing that's holding us back is how quickly these guys can reproduce, you know. So we see a need for more goats, we see a need for more good people to help us out, and we definitely want to spread our brand around.